App fans, have we got a show for you? Apps from across the world to make your life better, happier and more brilliant. Stay tuned and see if we can possibly deliver on that promise. Last week saw the clocks go back in the UK, which was quickly followed by an epic screw-up by Apple as their auto-updating iPhones failed to update the alarm and made the whole country an hour late. But whether you're an iPhone alarm victim or just find it really difficult to get up in the morning, we've got an alarm app that might sort you out. Sunrise Alarm goes some way to mimic a more natural wake-up than your typical alarm buzzer waking hell. You can choose to be woken by a variety of sounds, from birdsong to crickets to fire, although why you'd want to be woken thinking stuff's on fire, I'm not clear. The sound will build gradually, with the maximum volume reached at the time you've set. You can also set it to vibrate and the screen to glow, although you will need your phone right by your pillow to notice that. The annoying thing about these kind of apps is that you have to leave it running overnight, which means it needs to be plugged in and you can't open any other apps after it. So, no 4 AM Twitter checks. Not that you'd do that, or I'd do that. But if you can get over that, it's 59p spent on a more pleasant way of waking up. I've been using it for a few days, and as well as feeling smug about not being hit by the iPhone alarm curse, and waking thinking about shooting the birds making all that racket, it's been delightful. I can only look disapproving and angelic when faced with today's viewer question, as it addresses an issue I'm quite sure I've never encountered: drunk dialing. We've been asked, anonymously, whether there are any iPhone apps out there that can stop that awful morning after feeling when you go through your sent messages and want to fall into a hole of shame. As I said, it's never happened to me. Don't Dial is the app for you, drunk person. This allows you to pick the people you predict you're going to make that 2 AM phone call to and lock their contact details so you can't text or call them. You can either put them on a time lock or alternatively give your friend the responsibility by asking them to enter a password. They will then be able to unlock the contact if they judge you sober enough to make the call. Unfortunately, it doesn't work if you've got any texts or call log of the number in question, as the app can't access these. And of course, there's still the option of email or Facebook, so you're not completely protected from your stupid self. But in the fight against drunk dialing, every little bit helps. This week's Celebrity App Doctor goes out to all those crazy celebs going out to star in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. At the time of going to press, we're expecting such A-listers as someone who was once on X Factor, someone who was once married to a footballer, and Nigel Havers. I literally cannot wait. But which apps will help them survive the jungle? Well, all the smart celebs will take an iPad in as their luxury item, and perhaps a MiFi for internet access. So here's a couple of must-have apps. Ask the Butcher is a decidedly Australian app, which is where you can find out about all the different cuts of meat available from lamb, veal, pork and beef. Sadly, it doesn't cover kangaroos, or specifically their testicles, but the recipe tab should help provide a bit of variety to that dodgy jungle diet. And there's even a cooking time calculator, so you can work out how to serve your pork backstrap rare. The other must-have app is the US Army Survival Guide. This is basically an ebook with chapters on everything from how to catch and eat amphibians to how to behave when in contact with local people. Australians, in the case of the celebrities. So there you have it, a couple of apps to make the jungle a more welcoming place. This week's viewer question comes from one of those lucky Windows Phone 7 owners who wants to know if there's anything that can get him off the sofa playing Bejeweled and out into actual real life. It does, of course, depend on the level of your addiction, but we think TrickMate 24/7 is your best bet. This has launched exclusively on the Windows Phone 7 platform and promises to take care of your travelling experience end to end, be that transport, hotel or activity. Tell it where you are and have it return prices and booking details relevant to your location. For instance, if I'm in, say, London and search for events, it will calculate prices for a tour of Edinburgh, including the train fare to get there. Once you've picked where you're off to, you can book it all from within the app, and the details are all synced to the online version of the service. The developers promise this app is the first of its kind, and it'll suit spur-of-the-moment type people perfectly. Personally, I'd freak out if I hadn't researched travel plans in mind-blowing detail, so it's not ideal for me. But for normal people, it's perfect. This week's challenge takes us into the realms of snark and hate, as we look at which apps we believe, in our heart of hearts, should never have seen the light of day. We'll be back to our usual sunny selves tomorrow, but for today, bad apps.
If you like to take your hate, fear and bigotry to go, then the new Daily Mail app is your one-stop shop. It's free to try for 60 days, but once you're hooked, you'll need to shell out $4.99 for 6 months or $8.99 for a whole year of brain poison. The app itself is quite clever. It downloads the news so you can view it offline and it'll sync over Wi-Fi or 3G. You can choose which channels you're interested in to avoid syncing things you'll never read. Balanced reporting, for example. And it'll even tell you how much data it's used. By default, there are buttons for showbiz, female and sport along the bottom, but you can easily switch in your favourites, like immigrants and homophobia. On the whole, it's an extremely bad idea, superbly executed.
The target of my app wrath is the Toys R Us app, available on the iPad. I believe it may be responsible for creating a whole generation of wicked, awful children. Imagine the scene. It's getting close to Christmas and Angelica is beside herself with excitement about what Santa might bring her. So she takes the household iPad, goes into the Toys R Us app, where she proceeds to browse the catalogue, making an inexhaustible list of all the Bratz tats and Hannah Montana crap she wants this year. Then, rather than painstakingly cataloguing this in a letter to Father Christmas, she hands the iPad to her mum, who goes into the Parents section of the app, where she then accesses the list and promptly faints in horror as it includes prices against each item. It's enough to kill the Christmas spirit in anyone. That's it. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week for more app-packed funness. Want more? There is a veritable plethora of options available to you. Follow us on Twitter. Fan us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on iTunes. Tell us your thoughts in the comments at www.frackulous.com, and finally email us on yo@frackulous.com. Phew.